Hey everyone, in this course you'll learn how to become a more efficient developer, and there will be a demo at the end with the actual contents of the course. I'm going to cover the most common tools that you use as a developer, your operating system, your code editor, your terminal, and we'll also cover some of the cost versus benefit of that. It's not like you just snap your fingers and become an efficient developer. There is some time that it takes to do that. So we'll cover things like navigating quickly, using extensions to improve your workflow, and just generally cutting down on superfluous actions. This course is derived from about 5,000 hours of streaming on Twitch. I've shown my development to my audience for that amount of time, and I've gotten so many questions, and I've tried to turn them into this course. This course will not cover macro efficiency topics like testing your code, agile development, or managing a team. Honestly, if you're new to developing, you'll probably gain much more time by learning those topics than you will by even tripling your programming speed. In these videos, I'll be using Windows and Visual Studio Code, but even if you use neither of those, there's still value for you in these courses. In many cases, the techniques will transfer relatively smoothly, so you'll just have to learn a different shortcut or use a different program. But even in the cases where they don't transfer smoothly, this will help spark ideas for you to improve your own workflow. A lot of efficiency is very personal. The video can sometimes go pretty quickly, so I'm including these cheat sheets to help you follow along. I want to make it so that you can skim through these, so I've tried to break them down into just a typical scenario, an example, and then the steps in almost all cases so that you can quickly navigate even the cheat sheets. For a better idea of what's actually covered in the course, let's take a look at some of the real course contents. Hope you enjoy. Multiple cursors is such a powerful feature and has so many different uses. I'll show you a simple one now, but we'll cover a couple more throughout the video. Let's say I had a list of names and I wanted to turn them into an array. The naive approach here would be to just go to each line, wrap them in quotation marks, type a comma, and we could certainly do that, but let's simulate a much longer list here by just duplicating one of the names. What you might want to do is write a regex, and you might need to struggle a little bit with the regex and figure out capturing groups, but you could certainly do this, and we can replace all of the names with the quotation marks. But what's nice about multiple cursors is it will help in cases where a regex would not work, and it also makes it so that you don't really need to think too much about the pattern. So in this case, I can select every single line at once, break my cursor into each individual line, wrap them in quotation marks, put our comma, join them, and there's our array. As I mentioned, I'm using AutoHotkey for text expansion, but it does so much more than that. It can automate practically any part of the operating system. So let's take a look at some examples here. If I press Control-Alt-M, what it's going to do is get the current window, make sure that it's restored, and then size it to a particular location. So let's try this out now. And you can see that it's sized just to the edge of my camera. So I use this when I'm streaming or doing demos. This one, when I type backtick ref, so it kind of looks like it would be a text expansion, but in this case, it's actually doing a script here. It's going to type out the word reference, then highlight it, and then send Control K and Control V. So what does that do? Well, when you type out text in a program like OneNote or Google Docs and press Control K, it opens up the link dialog. And then Control V is paste, of course. So what this does is if I just type backtick ref, it will type out reference and then make it a link to whatever was on my clipboard. And this is how I can type out references in my notes so easily. There's one last thing I want to show you that really shows the power of what this can do, although this is not very exciting. So I have this special mouse and it's got modes on it that I can set. And when I press enter here, I don't have my hands on the keyboard, it pops up the mouse dialog and then changes the mode for me. And that's all done with AutoHotkey. The first thing I want to show is a script that I call CCD. It's for changing directories. Let's say you have this project structure here. We're in a folder called demo CCD, and underneath is source, and then server, and then cloud integration. And you want to be here because there's a file that you want to launch. So the way we might do this with regular CD is by doing something like source, and then we would tab complete server, and then probably tab complete cloud integration. And that would certainly work. We'd be in the folder and we could see our file there. But with CCD, this works with partial matching. So for example, I could do slash, and instead of typing demo CCD, I could just type something like DEM for the first part of it. And then source, server, cloud integration. So if you know what path you're trying to navigate to, you can do this with partial completion, and you can cut it down to just the minimum possible thing that you would need to type to get there. So with the same way, we could get into the source and the app folder by just typing S and then A. And here we are in the app folder. I need this to be in JavaScript, so I'm going to use the command palette here in order to make this JavaScript code. I want to use this load dash function called